This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast, where CEOs of mid-sized companies share their insights. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because top CEOs know how to listen and to be concise. So let's get to it. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm Daniel Hoffman-Zinnel, CEO at Proteus. I'm a lifelong Iowan, grew up on a farm outside of a tiny town in northwest Iowa, but have been in the role of CEO at Proteus for a little over a year, worked for the organization before for about 6.5. But we provide agricultural workers and their families with affordable healthcare, education, assistance, and job training in Iowa, Nebraska, and Indiana.
Excellent. Question number 2. What's the best thing about being the CEO?
I think the best thing is the people we serve, the people we work with, the relationships that we're able to develop, and to see others achieve success, but also being in a position to create change and long-lasting change. That's the best part.
Well said. Question number 3. I hear from other CEOs that leading their team and being able to see the road ahead can be a challenge. What are your thoughts?
I think it's a paradigm. I think the future can help you see on the ground what your staff need, but also seeing on the ground what staff are going through, what they need, can really propel you to envision a different pathway forward for the organization. So I think they're almost cyclical, but personally, I'm very much a futuristic, visionary type of person, and that's what drives me personally. And as long as I communicate that to our team, I'm hoping that allows me to connect with them well enough to understand what they're going through.
Excellent. Question number 4. What piece of insight do you want to share with other CEOs?
I think COVID has thrown a huge wrench into all of our lives and our ability to effectively lead. And so one thing that I've really leaned into during the pandemic is my personal values and really living them out loud even more, especially one of my top 5 values, which is joy. And I think while we're going through this pandemic, it's easy to focus on the negatives when there's so many silver linings that we could pull from personally and professionally. And so one thing that I have really incorporated into every day of my life since the pandemic started is experiencing joy. So I do a daily dose of joy through my social media that I share of some sort of joy that I've experienced. And then at all of our staff meetings, we do an activity that's fun, silly, or for all of us to experience joy together. Because if we're handling a lot of difficult personal things, but we're also navigating this with our patients and our clients. And so these are really tough situations. And if we don't have brevity, if we don't have some lightness, we're going to crumble and cry in a corner. So I try to keep things a little bit more light and experience joy with my team so that we can keep moving forward as well.
An excellent answer yet again. Now, question number 5. What other successful CEOs like yourself would you like to acknowledge and should be on my podcast?
Yeah, there's quite a few that I will try to remember. One is Courtney Reyes. She is the executive director of One Iowa, who I used to work for as ED before. They're a statewide LGBTQ organization. Isaiah Knox is a close colleague. He's the executive director of Urban Dreams, who's been working really closely with our local Black Lives Matter movement leaders here in Des Moines. Nancy Marazzi, who runs Pi 515, which is a tech organization focused on helping young girls, young women, especially young women of color, achieve tech skills in order to propel themselves forward. Aubrey Alvarez, who's running Eat Greater Des Moines. Dawn Martinez-Oropeza, who runs Alexito. Those are all great colleagues and leaders that I look up to.
Outstanding. Question number 6, the final question. How do you celebrate a win?
This is an area that I need to improve in because as a futuristic visionary type of person, I'm on to that next thing to focus on. And so personally, I need to do a better job of celebrating even those small wins, not only for myself, but with my team. But I do celebrate team members in our all staff meetings, in our smaller kind of department meetings as much as I can. And then individuals I directly supervise, I will give them something that I have them fill out their favorite forms, my favorite things on a form, and give them something on there, or not only my direct staff, but anyone in the organization, if they've made a significant achievement, I like to send them a personal thank you note. And I think getting back to the basics, old school, personal thank you notes is where it's at, and celebrating that with each other, I think, is really important.
Outstanding. Daniel, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Tell us, how can people find you?
You can go to proteusinc.net or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Outstanding. This is Earl Amin with the 2020 Foresight Podcast. For more insights, go to LinkedIn and search for The Gray Owl Company. Daniel, thank you.
Thanks for having me.